And welcome back to this week's Who Would Win. So, this week is the Devourer of Worlds, Galactus versus the Devourer of Worlds, Unicron. They both kind of eat planets a little bit. We'll start with Unicron because he has the less information I need to go over. So his size has varied a little bit in comics, but generally speaking, he's usually a planet-sized transformer, usually depicted around the same size as Saturn, which that's pretty fucking big. He can move through different realities and dimensions and eat them. He can convert planets to energy, create light and dark energy, use energy projections, he's able to adapt, grow stronger through energy absorption and conversion. Super strength, he's capable of ripping planets out of orbit. That's fucking unreal. And he survived universal level attacks while still being heavily injured. Now, he's got a plethora. He's got cosmic awareness, so they him and Galactus both have that, so that cancels each other out. Now he's not invincible, though. He can be destroyed, but the point being is that he was once described being able to destroy an entire universe. So yeah, very powerful, but you know he has his limitations. He's got a whole interesting little bit array of abilities. Moving on to Galactus. Now there's a lot more information to go over with Galactus. Galactus is the sole survivor of the previous universe before the current one. He stands at roughly 28 feet and 9 inches, but it varies in about 18.2 tons, but it varies. He can change his size, all that. He's a cosmic level threat. He's so powerful and made of such cosmic energy that he can't be perceived, that you can't perceive his true form. Whenever a civilization, the advance of the people or the beings who live in that society, that species, see him, can only see him as a version of themselves. So basically, if a human sees him, which is what we've normally seen in the comics, he's viewed as the human Galactus that we see. If lizard people see him, he's used as a lizard version of Galactus. Bird version. Male, cat person, cat version. I think at one point of like a group of sentient amoebas saw him, and he was turned into a giant amoeba. So amoeba, amoeba. Anyway, so yeah. Now his strength never really been measured, but he has basically god level strength, technologically advanced and nigh immortal. And now his god level strength and his fly beyond light speed, but all his strength is dependent on his energy, which we'll get to. He cannot survive the crunch, basically the collapse of the universe, though. He's almost died from a planetary impact. Energy discharge can destroy 3 solar systems basically at once. He's that powerful. Energy absorption destroys all kinds of energy. It can absorb all kinds of energy. Force field, levitation, interdimensional travel, size alteration, molecular restructure of any organism, multi-transmutation, matter transmutation, I should say. Teleportation, even teleports planets. Telepathy, telekinesis, cosmic awareness, creation, basically. He can create things from nothing. Kinesis, heals himself and others, basically. Ageless intelligence, he's super intelligent. And is possession of the ultimate nullifier that could destroy all the universe like that, but I doubt he'd ever use it. It's mostly just that he has it. But his main weakness, which has actually been bypassed with later comics where he actually became not the bringer of destruction, but the bringer of life, but we're not using that version, is he needs to eat every month at least. He can go maybe a month without eating, but because he doesn't like the fact is the universe actually exists partly because of him. He needs to exist in the universe, but he needs to feed. He needs to absorb the power and energy of other worlds. So he needs to eat constantly. The minute he's at his peak is that minute he finishes a planet, but the minute he finishes a planet and at his peak, his power starts to diminish just rapidly. He can go about a month before he needs to eat another planet. So he is vastly powerful and a cosmic level threat, but he is also vastly flawed in his power. So both of the opponents have been shown to be defeated. Both are immensely powerful, but Galactus has a bigger downside that his power automatically is siphoned at that point. as soon as he basically stops eating. So how does this fight start? Well, it's a tough way to put the realism of this fight, because the most realistic scenario would be a fight over a planet or something to eat. But then Galactus wouldn't be at his strongest. So if we're to put these guys at their strongest, you know what? I'll paint two scenarios. One where Galactus is kind of at his weakest, and one where he's at his strongest. So let's for sake of sake start with where he's at his strongest, where he's just finished devouring a world, and then Unicron shows up saying, "No, that world was mine." It's like, are you you're a plat? And maybe he looks and says, could I have devoured him? He just probably thinks, and it's like, I do not know who you are, per se. I've sensed you in this universe. You do not belong in this reality. Leave. It's like, you are the one who does not belong, Galactus. You have crossed the wrong being. And then he just transformed. Now it's a planet-sized Unicron, Saturn-sized Unicron versus Galactus, who grows in size, and then the fight takes place. So as the fight takes place, you know, I think in terms of a full-powered Galactus, Unicron's going to be pretty hard-pressed to hurt him very much, due to the vast amount of energy absorption he has, just technologically more advanced he is. Now, I don't think he could use any telepathy on him, because a sentient robotic mind is different from any other form of mind, and Unicron is basically the second most powerful being next to his father, who was, you know, like the creator or something like that. So when it comes to going back and forth with like energy blast, nothing's really gonna do much to hurt Galactus unless, you know, Unicron gets, you know, a lucky shot or catches him off guard. So I do see it just being a blast, nothing really going on. It maybe goes into a separate dimension to get away, and then Galactus just falls into this next dimension. It's like, what? It's like, did you not think I could not follow you here? Unfortunately, at that point, it's going to be, because his powers immediately starting slowly diminishing quickly diminishing, quickly by the standpoints of us lesser beings, slowly by his standpoint. Well, no, quickly by his standpoint, astronomically slow by our standpoint, because he is just so powerful. So he then proceeds to, you know, throw some energy blasts back. Unicron's able to adapt and absorb that energy as well, but Galactus, I think, will just have more energy to call upon at the time, so he's going to actually damage Unicron. However, Unicron then just flies in, punches him straight in the face just to forego any of this energy nonsense, and that's when the real battle of the gods is going to take place. Now, who's essentially stronger? Galactus's true strength's never been really measured, but you could basically say at his peak he could probably move a planet as well. But the problem with any of these fights is that the longer the fight goes on, the more advantage Unicron's going to have, because the more weaker Galactus is going to be. Because the more energy he uses, the more quickly the energy output is. The only reason he can last a month without being is if he's really not doing anything by his general routine of not hurting anyone. If he's having to expel his energy is going to be dispelled far quicker. So as this fight goes on, now again, he can absorb the energy back and stuff, redirect it, but so as the fight goes on, it's just going to lean more into Unicron's favor. But I do have to probably give just a full-powered fight, if them at their peaks. I'm going to lean towards Galactus, because he'll more than likely take him, because this fight's not going to drag on like for eons. They're immensely powerful beings, and Unicron could certainly hurt Galactus. That's not up for debate. He could probably like just knock off his helmet, just boom. Ugh. Which, by the way, how do you think Unicron, being basically a god among robots, machines, would perceive Galactus? Because he's got cosmic level awareness as well. How do you think he's perceived by Galactus? Or how Galactus is perceived by him? Is he like just a massive energy to him, or does he look like the human version that we know of? Let's just go for sake of say human version. But he could probably like knock off someone, blast him, give him a gut shot, then blast him with energy, which would throw Galactus off, because he didn't expect him to be this strong probably. Then he gets blasted into, I don't know where they are in this dimension. He gets blasted into a planet. So, but that being said, at full power, he could probably survive. He nearly died from a planetary impact, but he was also weakened at the point. So he'd probably still be hurt, but now he's just severely pissed off. So now he just teleports behind the Unicron, who doesn't probably expect that. Just disappears, reappears, like, what? And then just takes him and just crushes his head with a combination of probably cosmic energy and his sheer power. So he just crushes his head, and I think Unicron's dead at that point, because he is a machine. He's not invulnerable by any stretch of the mean. So I think in a full power fight, I think I got to give it to Galactus, but he will be severely weakened. And if the fight draws on long enough, Unicron, I think, will gain the edge and defeat him, but because of energy absorption by Galactus as well as Unicron, they both do energy absorption, I think Galactus can still hold out long enough to take out Unicron. Now, in the other more realistic scenario where I think they're going to fight over a planet, Galactus would be more... I don't think he'd be at his weakest. He can go a month without food, but I think because of cosmic awareness that he would sense, like, let's say this is like halfway through the month, so he's like half as strong as he normally would be. He would sense the oncoming threat of Unicron, go to devour a planet to gain his strength back and to confront the threat, but Unicron would meet him there, and then the fight would take place. So now you're dealing with a half-powered Galactus who will be more weakened, and now who will be losing energy even more quickly. Yeah, now it's a different story. So in that scenario, because again, do not know the limits of Galactus' strength. We know that he can, deliver blast powerful enough to destroy 3 solar systems, I think, at once. Or it was at least the equivalent of destroying 3 solar systems, which is another reason why Unicron will lose at that full-powered Galactus fight. But if he's half his strength, that means it's 1.5 galaxies, solar systems, so half a solar system left. Oh, come on, man. So at that point, now it's a little different. Now he can absorb Unicron's blast, but he'd have more time dealing with the massive energy blasts. Unicron would probably be able to adapt at this point to any energy blasts he's throwing out there because they're not as strong. He's probably absorbing some. He's probably taking a little damage, but he's probably absorbing. So it's then he comes in with a massive energy blast, probably fist. Which I'm not certain Galactus' force field at that point can hold up. I mean, it might hold up a little bit, but then it cracks, and Galactus takes a big shot. And then he just goes and they go do some fisticuffs for a while. But Galactus is much more weakened at this point. I do think he's probably at least faster than Unicron, because he can move beyond light speed at full power. And I assume he can move a little sub-light speed. I think he's probably faster than Unicron. I think Unicron has a traveling speed that might be beyond light speed, but we're not talking about traveling speed. We're talking about fighting speed. And I think that Galactus probably still is at least better suited for a hand-to-hand fight, just because being a robot does make you a bit cumbersome a little bit, even though Transformers is not always the case. But he's probably got at least better reflexes. So he can at least block the punches, maybe get a few hits in. But the hits aren't going to be doing anywhere near the effect that they would be doing at full power. He does maybe a blast a bit of a hole in him. Or not a hole, but it definitely concaves Unicron's body in. But now he's now tiring because he's now having to expend more energy than he needs to. Unicron notices this and is like, and then just suddenly charges at him, and it takes him to another dimension. I don't know what the dimension is. Maybe it's the dimension of sight and sound. Maybe it's the dimension of pure blackness. Maybe it's the dimension of fire and brimstone. I don't know exactly, but it takes him to a dimension, crashes him on the surface of whatever planet maybe they landed on. Now Galactus is in serious trouble at this point. He can try to. He maybe can. Also forgot to add in the molecular rearrangement and the healing himself, which is another reason why Galactus full powered would easily take out Unicron, because he just rearranged Unicron's molecular structure, especially being a machine. So, yeah, that's another reason Galactus would probably full power Galactus would probably destroy Unicron. But he could try. He can try to use Vita Kinesis to heal himself, and he might heal himself a little bit, but he can't, at this point, I don't think he's got enough strength to really do enough molecular rearrangement to destroy Unicron. He might be able to maybe destroy his arm or something. Suddenly Unicron's arm just is gone, and he's now huffing. Galactus and goes, ah! And then just suddenly blasts him with a giant energy blast, point blank. Now Galactus is just beaten and bruised in the crater, and Unicron just looks up. Looks down upon him and just like, you've lost. Galactus probably doesn't have much left to go on, so he might just try to... He could probably destroy himself, I think. He could probably kamikaze himself. And maybe he would try to do that with remaining energy. Maybe that would work. I don't think it would. I mean, it would hurt, but I think... If you saw Bat in the Sun's recent fight with Iron Man versus Optimus Prime, I think it'd be like that where... Spoiler alert. Spoiler. Optimus Prime won. I hate those things only because they're fan votes. Everything else is awesome about him. Because honestly, Iron Man, let's be clear, Iron Man would have kicked Optimus Prime's actual ass in a legitimate fight. He's got enough tech, especially Endosim armor. He could have easily defeated Optimus Prime, regardless. So it's going to be where, he blows up. Maybe he destroys the planet in one final last-ditch effort to destroy Unicron. Unicron gets out of the way. Or whatever surface they happen to be on. Unicron gets out of the way, but he's also saying, that's just Prime. Well, in this case, that's just Corn. Unicron. That's just Kron. So I think... I'm not sure what I'm smelling right now. Doesn't smell bad, though. It smells kind of like a wood fire, but I can't determine the wood that I'm smelling. Anywho. So in a full-powered Galactus fight, I think Galactus takes this about 80% of the time. It's not a clear-cut victory, even with Galactus, all of Galactus' abilities, but I think it's a majority of the victory. He gets about 80% of the time. I think Unicron's best bet is to continue just a complete or relentless assault on Galactus to just tire him out. But I don't think he would constantly... I think he would, being a giant age, godlike being... probably take a step back to reanalyze his opponent, which would give Galactus time to, rearrange his molecules, which, again, a full-power Galactus would easily be able to just go like that and destroy Unicron with molecular rearrangement. So about 80 to 20, though, because he's God-level strength as well. He can move a planet out of orbit. So he's strong enough to beat Galactus, I think, and could beat Galactus, but it's not very likely most of the time. I'd say about 20% of the time. In the reverse, though, I think because of how long and drawn out the fight would be and how weakened Galactus would be in that more realistic scenario, that one, I'd say Unicron wins that about 80% of the time as well. It's an 80-20 on both sides. And if Galactus is weakened to the point, like half, even if he's only half as strong, I think Unicron takes it because he would just wear Galactus down, and Galactus wouldn't have the energy to continue on. But that being said, again, if, say, Galactus kamikazes himself, he could, in theory, take out Unicron, so that's why I'd give it the 20, because it's a possibility. But that's my thoughts on that fight. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. If you have an idea for who would win as well, put that in the comments below. I'll get to that at some point. So, I'm not certain what I'm catching tomorrow, honestly, because... I'm working till closing tomorrow for where I work, and that's usually 9:30. There are no shows really around that time that I can catch, per se. But who knows? I'll see if I can catch something. It's either going to be The Nice Guys with me and Mark maybe tomorrow, or maybe Friday, or Angry Birds. We'll find out. So thanks for watching. See you next time.